Hey there, welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic weekend. Coming up here on the show, Colin Cowherd said this about the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts, and I imagine that Eagles fans are going to be fired up in the comment section of today's show. Speaking of that, I do want to hear from you. Which Eagles content creators do you like watching outside of this show, Eagles Now, with yours truly, Chase Sr.? And in speaking of Colin Cowherd, if there's a broadcaster or broadcasters that you like listening to and watching, you could certainly drop me those names down in the comment section. Just want to see what type of talent is out there. So in ESPN's top 10 quarterback rankings going into the 2025 season, based upon the opinions of NFL executives, coaches, and scouts, Jalen Hurts came in as the 9th best quarterback in the National Football League. That list goes as such. Patrick Mahomes at number 1, Josh Allen at number 2, Joe Burrow at number 3, Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels rounding out the top 5. 6 through 10, you have Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield. Now for me, the top 4 of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson, it's hard to argue those aren't the 4 best players at the position regardless of order. And you can flip-flop those players at the top 4 of that list. After that is where I think that you can really open up the conversation as far as debate goes. Jayden Daniels was terrific in his rookie season with the Washington Commanders. Carried over what he did at LSU with that uber-efficient Heisman Trophy winning season. But at number 5, after 1 year in the NFL, that's way too high. Justin Herbert, on the other hand, being ahead of Jalen Hurts, he has never accomplished anything of note in his NFL career. He has not even won a playoff game yet in his career. I get it. He passes the eye test. He's big, handsome, strong arm, decent mobility, has a bazooka for a right arm. He can make any throw on the field. But when it matters the most, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities. He hasn't been able to put the team on his back. But then in the playoffs, he lost a 3-score lead against Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, and the Jags. And last year against the Texans in the wild card round, he threw more picks in that game than he did the entire regular season. Pretty crazy. And if you need to win a big game, you look elsewhere on this list. Who are you taking? Are you taking Jared Goff or are you taking Jalen Hurts? Easy answer for me, you, and a lot of other people who know ball. You are going with number 1 in the midnight green, and that's Jalen Hurts. Outside of Mahomes, on this entire list, Hurts has won better than any other quarterback inside that top 10. And in the 2 biggest games of Hurts' career, when he's squared off one-on-one against Patrick Mahomes, and they've looked at each other in the eyes, sideline to sideline, in those Super Bowl bouts, Jalen Hurts has outplayed the quarterback who a lot of people think is the GOAT. Now, as far as Baker Mayfield on that list, he's behind Jalen Hurts. I don't really care. And in the last 2 years, he has been a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. And look, at the end of the day, these lists really don't matter all that much because Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. But some of these narratives get tiresome. Some of these narratives get old and stale. And it is my duty as the host of this program, as a diehard Eagles fan since I was 4 years old, to defend the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So many casuals out there will say, Chase, Jalen Hurts is carried. He doesn't even put up stats. Look at his numbers. Well, let's look at some numbers. Most total touchdowns among quarterbacks since 2021. That was the year that Jalen Hurts became the full-time starter for the Birds. You have Josh Allen with 169 total touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes at 139, pretty big gap there. Joe Burrow, 136. Jalen Hurts, 131. And to his credit, Jared Goff there at 118. Who do you not see on this list? The likes of Lamar Jackson. The likes of Justin Herbert. Can't throw Jayden Daniels into the equation because he only played 1 year in the NFL. But what do touchdowns mean? Goes a long way in determining wins and losses. The ultimate goal in a game for a quarterback is to get the offense in the end zone. And Jalen Hurts is right up there with Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. And for those of you who play fantasy, you want to tell me that Jalen Hurts isn't a productive player? He has been QB6, QB1, QB2, and QB5 in points per game over the past 4 seasons and rushed for double-digit touchdowns in every season as a starter. That is a historic clip and trend right there. You can't obsess over quarterbacks like Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson and compliment them for being dual-threat quarterbacks, but then not do the same for Jalen Hurts. You want to call him a tush-push merchant? How about the first drive of the game against the Rams in the divisional round where he pulled away from the defense and ran for 40 yards to set the tone in that playoff game? He is not just a quarterback who executes the tush-push, but the tush-push is a Jalen Hurts play. He has mastered it. There's no other quarterback in the NFL currently and in the history of the NFL who can execute it to the level of efficiency that Hurts executes it at, because quarterbacks can't routinely just squat 600 pounds like Jalen Hurts. And this is also what it comes down to in this betting fantasy football era. We have become stats obsessive. We as a society, we as sports fans, don't value winning enough. Yet it's odd because people call Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Michael Jordan the GOATs. Why? Because they've won the most championships and they've won the most. Jalen Hurts wins, he wins often, and he wins big. What Hurts has also had to deal with is offensive coordinators changing routinely, not just in his NFL career, going back to Alabama, then to Oklahoma, and then in his NFL career. Doug Peterson in 2020, Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen in 2021, Shane Steichen in 2022, Brian Johnson in 2023, Kellen Moore in 2024, Kevin Patullo in 2025. He's only been in the NFL since 2020. He's only been a full-time starting quarterback since 2021. A lot of the other quarterbacks on that list have been able to have the benefit of a consistent play caller and a consistent voice in their heads, in their headset, relaying them all the play calls. Hurts hasn't had that, yet he's still been able to produce and win. And that lack of continuity is very difficult to manage for quarterbacks. Oftentimes, QBs will crumble. Not Jalen, because he's a champion. Here's what ESPN had to say with that write-up on Hurts, that his status is cemented. He's a Super Bowl winner who plays big in big moments. He's the most potent short yardage quarterback rusher in NFL history. His streak of 4 consecutive seasons with 10 or more rushing touchdowns, the league's longest ever for a passer. He's also one of the game's most accurate passers, ranking first in completion percentage over expected at plus 6.6. And he throws a beautiful deep ball. That touchdown pass to Devontae Smith in Super Bowl 59, a Superdome-sized work of art. Here in Philly, we call it the dagger. He had a better year running the ball, and the way he played down the stretch when healthy was impressive, said an AFC executive who voted Hurts in the top 5. He knows ball. Better throwing the ball in general this year, and he cut out the turnovers. When asked to be a high-volume thrower in 2023, 538 attempts, he struggled to take care of the ball, threw 15 picks. To his credit, cut that number down to 5 in 2024, though on far fewer attempts, 361. The question isn't whether Hurts belongs in the top 10. He undoubtedly does. It's whether he has the ability from the pocket to vault into the top 5 eventually, as his Super Bowl pedigree would suggest he could. More than a few voters see shades of Russell Wilson's career arc. He has many traits that contribute to winning at a high level, but needs a steady running game around him and wouldn't necessarily thrive in a pass-heavy system. Obviously, some good takeaways and some solid points there. But coming up just around the corner, I mentioned it off the rip. What did Colin Cowherd say about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? We'll get to that here in a moment. I do want to hear from you once again, though. Share your opinions with me and fill in the blank. Jalen Hurts is a top blank quarterback in the NFL. He's a top 5 QB for me. Do want to tell you about this phenomenal deal thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This Eagles cutoff hoodie can be worn any time of the year, in any climate, and one thing remains constant. You can always support the EAGLES Eagles. And right now, limited time only, while supplies last, this hoodie is on sale. It was $55. It's now just $33. That's $22 off. I'm not going to give you the percentage because I can't do the percentage in my head. I failed elementary algebra in college. But $22 off, pretty good deal. All you have to do, use that link down below, chatsports.com/Eagles cutoff. Use that link. It'll take you to Fanatics, and Fanatics will know that Chase Senior Eagles Now and Chat Sports sent you. This served as the foundation of what Cowherd had to say about Hurts. The Eagles' offense last year, 21st ranked passing offense according to Pro Football Focus. And Cowherd mentioned that 11 of Hurts' 32 total touchdowns, 34% came on rushes of 1 or fewer yards. After the Week 5 bye, Philadelphia finished 12-1 while attempting an NFL low 24.3 pass attempts per game. Some takeaways on what Cowherd had to say for his points and his argument. Yes, the Eagles were ranked 21st in passing, and he said that Hurts is responsible for that. But anytime a team has a strength, it'd be idiotic to go away from that strength and strengths. The Eagles last year had success because they had the best overall player in football in Saquon Barkley, the rushing champion, offensive player of the year, who finished top 5 in MVP voting, who had the best single season in the history of the game. He had double-digit runs of 60-plus yards. He was 1 of 1 and had one of the best single seasons that we've ever seen for any football player ever. The Philadelphia Eagles also had the best offensive line in football that was at its best run blocking, taking the will from the opponent, and snatching their souls and snatching their hearts out of their chests. The Eagles, throughout the course of a 60-minute ball game, played bully ball. They would wear you down, and in the process, by the end of the game, other teams were gassed. If the Eagles were so dominant and special in running the ball, why would you just decide to say, you know what? The other teams are throwing it. Let's go away from our strengths. Let's let Jalen Hurts throw it around the yard 40 to 50 times just to pad his stats a little bit. Of course, the Eagles are going to be ranked lower in passing when they have an outlier and a historic season running the football. So I don't really knock Jalen Hurts for that. And Saquon had a lot of success, partially because Jalen Hurts shared the backfield with him. The next point from Cowherd, 11 of Hurts' 32 touchdowns were 1 yard or fewer. Here's the deal. The tush push is unique to just Jalen Hurts. He is the only quarterback in the NFL who can run that play, as I mentioned earlier. When other teams have tried to run that play, they fail. In that sense, it's the most unique quarterback play ever because of this individual. And he should be given credit for that because of the uniqueness, the dominance, the efficiency of that play. Other teams know when it's coming. They still can't stop it. Josh Allen in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs went 0 for 4 running the Bills' version of the tush push. It's pretty telling. Steve Spagnuolo said upon doing some film study, he realized that Allen always runs to the left, so to the left of the center, behind that left guard. So what did the Chiefs do? They game planned around that. They loaded up the line, they hit that gap, and they stopped Josh Allen. That's a big reason why it was Kansas City who played in the Super Bowl in New Orleans and not Buffalo. For Hurts, you know what's coming, you still can't stop it. So I don't really knock him for that either because he does something that's so special and unique. The Eagles finished 12-1 after the bye. They threw it an NFL low 24.3 times per game. Again, football is about exploiting a team's weakness. It's about taking advantage and maximizing what you do well and the personnel on your team. Cowherd had mentioned Kellen Moore changed the identity of the Eagles' offense after the bye. Again, if you have that offensive line, every member of that offensive line had been an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler outside of Mekhi Becton, and you have Saquon Barkley, the Offensive Player of the Year, why would you not try to lean on those strengths? That's the identity of your football team. We rip play callers and coaches all the time for not making the necessary adjustments to tap into the identity and the backbone and the fabric of a football team. The Eagles did that, and it was a big reason why they were the number 1 seed in the NFC, or number 2 seed in the NFC, and won the Super Bowl. And what did Jalen Hurts do when the Eagles asked him to throw the football? NFC Championship game, and in the Super Bowl, he passed the test with flying colors. Philadelphia put up 55 points in the NFC title game, and they could not be stopped on offense in the Super Bowl against one of the top defensive minds in the history of the game. More from Cowherd here. He said, if your company goes to an off-site weekend retreat and has a philosophical reset, and they come back and they decide, listen, employee, we're going to use you less, and they're more successful, that seems to be a pretty striking correlation. Now, I love Cowherd. He's the sports broadcaster who I look up to, and I think I have a little bit of his style that I've adopted over time. I like how he always makes like business and life comparisons to sports. So I have my Colin Cowherd impersonation with how I'm going to defend Jalen Hurts here. In corporate America, what is the goal? To win and win big. Everywhere Jalen Hurts has gone, he's won. Coach's son, beloved, Nick Saban, the GOAT, loved Hurts. Hurts was cast aside, didn't pout and complain, mature. Replaced by Tua, doubted, goes to Oklahoma, works on his weaknesses, improves on his mistakes under Lincoln Riley. That's accountability. Dealt with adversity, responded, overcame it. That's mental toughness. Drafted by the Eagles. He was looked at as a backup behind Carson Wentz. Hurts got his opportunity, seized it. First year as a starter in the NFL, struggled to throw it. Ugly playoff loss against Tom Brady. He saw how it was done. It was time to learn. Comes back the following year, makes it to the Super Bowl, number 2 in MVP voting, gut-wrenching Super Bowl loss when he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs color confetti coming down. 2023, Hurts struggled. 2024, comes back, outplays Mahomes again. Rocky-like, movie story, redemption. In corporate America, it's not always about how it looks. Do you win? Do you find success? Do you seize the moment and opportunity? Do you adapt and do you evolve? When you make mistakes, do you look in the mirror and take accountability? Hurts has done that to become a winner. It's the Herd. Jalen Hurts should be higher on this list. He is not the 9th best quarterback in the NFL. Other people become enamored with all of these numbers. Jalen Hurts, all he cares about is winning. He makes sacrifices for the greater good of the team. He has all of the intangibles that you want. He's never been in trouble. He has a story that you want to root for. And when it comes down to it, he has the clutch gene and plays his best in the biggest of games. No one likes us. We don't care. Keep doubting Jalen Hurts. He'll keep proving everybody wrong. Thank you so much for watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Thanks to Avery and Colin for putting this show together and helping me out with it. And thanks to all of you for rocking with us. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.